What's up, everybody? Today we're going to continue in our ornament series, and we're going to do a little lantern ornament out of this piece of maple. I got this cool little twist light, just pops on like that, pops back off like that. What we're going to do, we're going to start by drilling a 1 1/8 inch Forstner hole into actually the other side of this. We're going to put it in the chuck, get that going so we size it up. This will get it pretty close. It won't be exact, but then we'll turn it down. And then we'll flip it around, put it in the chuck, and then we'll shape it. We're also going to drill a couple holes through here and then fine tune the outside from there. Quick little project, but really fun. Nice little addition to the tree. Let's get rolling. All right, we got our piece of walnut chucked up. We got our Forstner bit in here, and we're just going to start to drill through this bottom part. And I'm going to drill much farther than where I need to be because all that's going to do is help open the cavity in there as well. Lathe speed around 400. All right, well, we've still got it in the chuck. I'm going to clean up this bottom and then just make this space wide enough for our light to fit in there. All right, I'm going to go a little bit at a time because I want to sneak up on our fit. Definitely don't want to miss it. There we go. Looking pretty good right there. Not very often you get it on the first time like that. All right, we're going to flip it around and start doing some shaping. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mark out 1 1/4 inches here. Try to keep that straight. I'm going to do it on each side. Hopefully you can see that. We're going to use this as a mark for where we drill our hole for the sides. So I'm at 1 1/4 inches from our jaws there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come this way and center this up. This isn't completely square. So I got to be a little bit careful. We'd be much better off if we started with a true square. It's off very minimal, but the closer to 0 you get, the better off you're going to be. So next what I'm going to do is I'm just going to measure this across, make a cross mark, and then we'll know where we can drill. Okay, so I got our mark on all 4 sides. That's where our drill bit's going to go. Next, I'm going to put that Forstner bit back into a hand drill, and we're going to drill these out. Okay, I've got our holes mounted up. I'm putting it in the lock in the tailstock, or in the headstock rather, and I switched over to a 1-inch drill bit just because we don't have as much room here. Just to be safe, make sure we got enough room to shape our ornament. I went with a 1-inch. We've got our mark in there, so we can line up our point. And I'm just going to do my best to stay straight with it. Okay, so you get the point there. We're going to do that on all 4 sides, and I'm going to speed this up so you don't have to watch this. All right, now we're going to work to shape the outside. Nice figure in this walnut. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm going to do a little bit of sanding before I go further. All right, we got the whole outside sanded through 400 grit. Now I'm just going to take the time to do a couple little details on here. The thing I love about doing small projects like this is that it really gives you the opportunity to add a lot and try a lot of different techniques. If you have trouble with it, it's a small piece. It's not like you ruin a big piece of wood or spend too much time doing it, things like that. So fun projects like this that are smaller really allow you to get better at turning and get better at trying new things, and I think encourages you to do so a little bit more. Anyway, let's talk about why I sanded. I sanded before we go in here and clean this out, which is what's going to happen, because it gave us a stronger surface. So you saw me doing hand sanding. I did also go in with the right angle drill and do some sanding like that, especially when I got up to the higher grits. It just keeps the scratch pattern a little bit better, especially since we're basically in a spindle orientation. So as we're sanding like this, it creates a lot of grooves. So in order to get rid of that, you either got to do a lot of hand sanding or go in there with a power sander, and it'll help you a little bit. But I wanted it to be a strong enough surface when I did that, so I didn't have as much probability of really breaking any of this. So I did sand in here around these holes, but I'm also going to take a file and just very softly add a bevel around here. It's just one of those things that gives it a little bit more detail, gives the eye another plane to look at. It's just a nice little effect. You can see I'm doing half, and then I'll go around and do the other side next. Nice and soft, nothing too aggressive. This is a finer file, but it adds a really nice bevel effect around here. Let's go through, check it. Make sure you got it pretty even all around. Doesn't have to be perfect. Nobody's going to inspect it. All right, looks really nice. We're going to move on now, and we're going to go back in here on the inside, and we're going to clean this up a little bit. We do have to be very careful, though, because don't forget we sized it to fit our light. So we want to kind of stay away from this bottom part and really mostly just go in on this inside part and clean that out. All right, we're back in action on the end of the lathe. I'm going back in with my #1 hollower. And again, I'm going to be very careful here. So I'm going to go a little farther in and just work on this area here. And I'm going to make really slow, soft cuts. All right, I think that might do it. Let's check it out. Okay, I got everything smooth on the inside, on the top. I got everything looking really nice. All right, now here's the test. Let's throw our light back in there and see if it fits. If it does, cool. If not, we'll talk about what we do to fix it. Okay, so it's a little bit big now. So that's the chance you take. So what we're going to do to fix that, if I had a longer piece that we were working with, I would have had more material to work with and it wouldn't have been such an issue. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little dab here and a little dab there of hot glue. We'll pop that in, it'll hold it, and we'll still be able to turn it on and off. All right, next thing we're going to do, we're going to add just a little bit of a design here. I'm just going to make a mark, and then we're going to do some burning in there. There we go. Just gives it a nice little addition. All right, to finish this off here, we're going to use a spindle gouge and go in here and shape our top. All right, we got everything sanded up to 400 and blended in. We're going to add another burn line right here. But what I want to do, we didn't have a lot of material and I didn't really want to get rid of any of that. So I flipped it around, popped it with onto a rubber chucky piece here, and then just put a live center back here. So I got this in there pretty good. I'm going to take really soft cuts. It's centered as best as I could get it. It's off a little bit, but we're just going to bring this down a little bit and see if we could just add a little bit more material there to finish the shape. Okay, everything's pretty clean. I'm really happy with that. All right, let's do a little bit of sanding. Okay, we got everything sanded up to 400. I'm going to do a little bit of texture right here. I got my texture tool. Just going to add a little bit right on the top here. Okay, let's check that out. Yeah, very cool. Very, very cool. Got a nice little wave in there. We'll go back to our point tool and we're just going to frame it out. Last thing for that, we just take some shavings, turn the lathe on. I'm just going to burnish it. Get a little bit more. By burnishing that area, it gets rid of any of those little fuzzies that might be on there. All right, cool. Let's pop it off of here. Okay. So you see we got a little bit to clean up in there. What I'll do is I'll just take a little bit of sandpaper and clean that up. All right, there we go. All right, next we're just going to add a little bit of walnut oil for our finish. Get the outside going. And I'll add some to the inside. that beautiful figure that's in there. All right, now we'll just let it sit. Let it dry for a bit before we add our ornament hanger and our light in there. All right, ornament is dry, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put the little eyelet in for the hanger. We already got a little divot in there, so we're going to see if we could just do it like this. Sometimes you got to drill a little bit first. Walnut is a little bit harder, so we'll see how this goes. And I got a good bite. Okay, there we go. So that's how it'll sit with our hanger. I'm going to pop this out for a minute. We're going to work on doing our couple glue dabs in there so we get our light to sit in there properly. All right, we got our ornament. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pop that in there actually, because I'm going to put the glue around here and then have the ornament back down into it. So I'm going to do 4 dabs of glue. There we go. Let me get a better one over here. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to back this up into it. And get it nice and flat. Okay. That looks pretty good. Let's let that dry for a minute. All right, here's our final ornament. You can see one of the spots of the 4 actually came off because I didn't use enough glue. So don't be afraid to use too much glue. If you were able to see earlier how much was really sticking out over, I just trimmed it down with a small knife, and everything is nice and flat. I don't know if it's easy to tell that or not, but it's super clean. Doesn't look weird at all, and it stays in there really well. The only offset is we've glued the bottom, right? So in order to engage it, you got to do it from the inside, which really isn't that much of a pain. Still does exactly what it needs to do. And same thing for turning it off. Just turn it off right from inside. We'll add our hanger to it. And we are good to go. Give you some final shots of it hanging up here next.